Welcome to another video. Today is the last day of the Duelist Cup, so I'm just playing a deck that I think is very strong because I wanted to make sure I got all the wins I needed to get all the gems. So I'm playing Swordsoul, and this deck is very well positioned right now because the Swordsoul half is very fast and efficient and can get you wins, and the part is very good against Despia and it's very good against Runics. So you're going to find a lot of Runic Floodgate decks, and putting, the cards into the Swordsoul package really just kind of makes it so that the deck has kind of an out to anything. And opponents going first and they're making Despia, Mirror Jade things, but you know what? We're going to power through it. Now we got Fish Sonar, can bait out an Ash Blossom a little bit, see what our opponent has. They don't seem to have Ash, so what we're going to do is activate Imperm, negate this Mirror Jade. And now our Jellyfish can start summoning. And the ideal setup is if you can get your level 10 Synchro, your level 10 Water Synchro, and the Sea Stealth attack on the field, because that way your Supreme Sovereign, when he sees a card getting banished, he's going to banish a card from the field and graveyard. And you can do that every turn with Sea Stealth attack active by banishing your Jellyfish or another water monster on field. So looks like we're going to be able to get set up to do that, which is pretty sweet. And once we finish the Swordsoul combo, we'll be popping this Mirror Jade. Or are we? Yeah, you know what? We're not going to pop the Mirror Jade because we want our Supreme Sovereign on field and we can banish stuff each turn. Supreme Sovereign can't really get popped. We have a negate for Mirror Jade's effect. Once we have our Umi on field, we can negate a spell effect. So we should be pretty sweet. Let's activate the Sea Stealth. Our opponent has a Twin Twisters. They have been triggered by playing against Runics, it looks like. So let's activate Call by, banish that Despian Tragedy, and try our best. Popping, so now normally MST does not negate, but MST does negate the effect of Sea Stealth attack that activates an Umi from your graveyard if you pop it in response. So sometimes MST does negate, I guess is the lesson here. Let's banish some stuff from the field and graveyard. We don't want to banish this Mirror Jade because it'll pop our whole field. Opponent is playing a Zombie World and summoning a Luber. We're going to negate that. Do not want to get Lubered. Now opponent is pretty low on resources. They can banish stuff with Mirror Jade, but we can negate. They're popping our Jellyfish, but Supreme Sovereign is going to be hard for them to get rid of. They're going to need to make another Mirror Jade. Swordsoul Blackout's pretty sweet here. So we can Mo Yi, reveal the Blackout, do another combo. Opponent trying a Mirror Jade. I don't think so, opponent. Get negated. Now you can see the power of the Swordsoul half of this deck. Our opponent kind of used all their resources, pop in the Umi side, and they don't have anything left for the Swordsoul side. Now we can banish that Zombie World because it concerns me. Banish that Shadow Incarnation from the graveyard. Baxi going to shuffle these two back into the deck, and we're going to attack for lethal here. Even get to draw a nice little additional card. Drawn into another Imperm, and opponent knows what's going on, and they are done. Alright, I'll have the full deck list at the end of the video, but for now, let's go on to the next game. Alright, we got a great hand because this is a mix of the Umi and the Swordsoul. So we're going to start with the Swordsoul side. Go into Mo Yi. We didn't have a water monster to activate Jelly's effect, and we don't have Sea Stealth attack. So let's make the Grandmaster do normal Swordsoul things. Mo Yi gonna give us a Max C and search for the Strategist, so we can discard the Taya. And we have the choice of making Baron or the Supreme Sovereign, and here I'm gonna make Baron because we don't have Sea Stealth attack. Gonna be helpful to have a negate. Also, the negate can protect our Maxi and Ash Blossom because we have a lot of interruption in hand. So sometimes you gotta decide Baron or the Swordsoul Supreme Sovereign. We also have the Pacifist, which is gonna give us additional bodies. So if our Baron gets popped, we at least are gonna have some bodies from the Pacifist. So let's see what the opponent has. Opponent playing Runics. All right, this is it. This is what we trained for. Let's negate the Flashing Fire. Do not want Baron to get popped. Better to have Baron than no Baron. So negate Flashing Fire. Opponent has Card of Demise. Let's Ash Blossom. This Maxi is not going to be super useful against Runics, but that doesn't matter because we got Pacifist. Now Swordsoul I think gets shreked by Runics typically. So if you're playing a Swordsoul deck and you want a way to get out of this Runic stuff, don't just put in a bunch of spell popping, put in the Pacifist package. It's gonna be way more fun. Baron I am going to use to special summon Moyi back from the deck because Baron's negate has already been used. So hopefully we can do some synchro summoning, but opponent has there can only be one, which means we can only control one monster each type. So all of the Swordsoul monsters are worms. So if you're playing Swordsoul and opponent activates this, you're done. You can only have one monster on field. So whatever your last monster is, that's it. That's what you're stuck with. You're not going to be making any tokens. You're not going to be synchro summoning. There can only be one. But luckily, we got Jellyfish. Jellyfish is an aqua. The Ocean Dragon Lord is a sea serpent. So we're not in that bad of a position. Opponent is going to special summon a Runic from the extra deck. They do not have a card in their hand, so they cannot search the field spell. Because that is the #1 concern when you're playing against this deck, is that they'll activate the field spell. Opponent going for the Gary. Now, we're going to search with our Emergence for a Tenyi Spirit Shathana. Now, it doesn't really matter what spirit we search for, but the idea was if our opponent pops the Grandmaster, we might be able to activate this, special summon the Shathana, and then we could go into our rank 4 XC. The other option is the Shathana. If we can get the Spiral Dragon on field, Shathana will protect the Spiral Dragon and also let us pop cards on field. So that's the reasoning here. Now we are going to attack into the Gary, starting with a Jellyfish. We're hoping our opponent pops the Grandmaster because Jellyfish is so good against Runics, and they do. So that's pretty great. Let's activate Jellyfish, get the Spiral Dragon on field, and now we're set up. Opponent has there can only be one, but we don't care. We got one Aqua, we got one Worm. Opponent gonna activate Terraforming. We have once per turn spell negate with Jellyfish. Every turn we can negate a spell. This is very good against Runics here. Opponent not sure what these other cards are. Might be other copies of there can only be one. We're gonna get to battle. I'll start attacking. Runic Slumber here. We're gonna negate. Opponent activating one Runic spell a turn is really good for us. We're just gonna keep negating their spells. Jellyfish going up to 2600. Opponent going for a Pot of Extravagance, and we're not going to let this resolve. Jellyfish negate, showing off how we completely pivoted from Swordsoul straight into Jellyfish Umi control, and that's going to win us the game. So there you go, 3,200 attack Jellyfish. We even have Tenyi Spirit Vishuddha. Let's get rid of this mystery card. Who knows what it is? We're going to put it back in their hand where we're safe. Attack for lethal. There you go. So that is how you beat Runics with Swordsoul. You gotta have the Umi stuff. Alright, let's go on to the next game. Alright, we got a very Swordsoul heavy hand, which does happen. Let's activate the Swordsoul Emergence. Opponent gonna Ash Blossom. Callback and negate. And we did have the Ecclesia. So even if our opponent successfully negated this Emergence, we could always Ecclesia and do our Swordsoul combo that way. Ash Blossom is negated successfully though, so we're going to just get Moyi. Ecclesia is a lot better going second, and it's also a lot better on later turns because of its effect to special summon itself from hand if you're down on monsters versus your opponent. So that's why I try not to use the Ecclesia until my opponent's got a set up board. Grandmaster going to search Moyi, going to chain block, although we already negated Ash Blossom. And we're going to set up one of the classic Swordsoul boards. We happen to draw Blackout, so we can set Blackout and use it to pop our Supreme Sovereign, who cannot be destroyed, so he'll banish a card from graveyard instead. So it's a pretty strong setup. We even have Imperm. Let's see what the opponent can do here. Opponent is Signet Mining and playing Marincess. Now I played Marincess a while ago, so I know its weak points, and there are a couple of key points you want to negate. So we got 2 monster negates and we got Banish, so we're going to wait, save our negates for a critical moment here. Not going to banish this. What we want, or not going to negate this. What we want to do, just kidding, we are going to negate it because we want to trigger Supreme Sovereign to banish from field. With our opponent having no materials on board, they're going to be in a lot of trouble here. We can also banish their seahorse from graveyard. Yeah, so now they're down resources pretty heavily. They did have a dive in hand, which is pretty good for them. Get to special summon this blue tang, but now we can pop their remaining 2 monsters, and they're gonna have a hard time recovering from this. They've used their normal summon, they've used their dive. See, they're setting a card, and that's passing a turn. Jellyfish here, not gonna be too useful, so let's Ecclesia. Opponent has call by. This actually saves them, stops them from getting lethalized. So lucky play for the opponent there. And we're just gonna get attacking. Opponent's got 1 card left. We got negate, banish. We're in a great spot. Opponent trying to Pascalis, get negated, banish from field and graveyard with the effect of the Supreme Sovereign. Our opponent is not going to have any plays left. Banish all their non-link Marincess monsters. That way they don't have any ability to use Marincess Dive if they happen to have it in hand. Even get a nice little token here. But opponent is pretty much done. We draw into the Ocean Dragon Lord, so let's just show our opponent what we had. We got the Dragon Lock. Not that it does anything against Marincess. Let's search for that Sea Stealth attack in case our opponent has, who knows. Alright, that is lethal. Let's go on to the next game. Alright, another interesting hand here. We got what looks like almost a full Umi package, so we're going to Jellyfish first. Jellyfish can negate an Ash Blossom or a Max C on our first turn if we have Pacificus on field. Jellyfish going to activate, and Jellyfish can negate an Effect Veiler as well. The only card that really stops this is Imperm. So Jellyfish going to negate that Effect Veiler, and we're looking pretty sweet. We got Ocean Dragon Lord lock. Let's see if the opponent has a way out of this. We got Sea Stealth attack to protect our monsters, and we can activate this Ashuna to special summon a Vishuda from the deck. Now we're kind of just hoping this gets in the graveyard somehow, because it does stop us from summoning any more monsters once the Umi lock is on field. Although we have a way around that. If you're thinking, oh, well, you know, Swordsoul might get locked by Umi, we'll show you how to avoid that. We're gonna get the token here as well. Opponent is playing Live Twin. They are completely stopped by the water lock. They cannot summon 2 monsters. That means their link monsters are out of here. And now we're locked in the water, so we can't do any plays, except we have Sea Stealth attack. So what we can do is activate our Ocean Dragon Lord, and we can banish the Ocean Dragon Lord to remove the lock, and that'll allow us to do some more summoning. So let's banish, do a nice little Link to Shaman of the Tenyi just to clear up our board, so we can get Ecclesia on field, get a Moyi, do some more summonings. Since this is a fire, we're not allowed to have 2 non-water monsters on the field with Ocean Dragon Lord, but now he's gone. So we can do whatever we want. Get the Grandmaster. Grandmaster gonna activate, Moyi gonna activate, and we're looking like we can get lethal here. All we gotta do, get rid of our opponent's board, and we got enough damage to KO them. So let's search for Strategist, and if we were under Umi lock, none of this would be possible, but like I said, Sea Stealth attack to dodge on your own turn for the utility here. We got the Supreme Sovereign, burn our opponent, and let's activate that Tenyi Spirit that we searched for last turn. Return that card to hand, banish a card from field and graveyard, and now we got extreme lethal damage. Just a ruthless Swordsoul Umi takedown. Alright, there you go. Taking out Live Twins. Alright, let's go on to the next game. Alright, interesting mix of the Swordsoul and Umi cards. We can search for a Moyi here. Opponent is going to Ash Blossom though, so that line is off. With Ash Blossom out of the way, we can Taya, so probably makes the most sense. Taya gonna banish, give us the token, don't activate the emergence to increase the level, that'll mess you up. Grandmaster gonna search, Taya gonna send a card to the graveyard, so we're gonna send that level 1 Tenyi to the graveyard, usually the best card to send. Adhara can add a banish monster back to our hand, so we're gonna activate, make the Strategist, and in this position we're on the Fleur, probably the best option. Burn our opponent for 1200, and let's pass the turn. We got a little disrupted, but we were able to make the typical Swordsoul board. Let's see what the opponent can do here. And opponent is playing Scareclaws. It's one of the new decks. I am not 100% sure how they work exactly, but we are going to negate this Lightheart. We don't want them to get their Primitive Planet. Usually decks that have a field spell, the field spell is pretty core to the deck working. So let's negate here. Opponent is summoning Visa Starfrost. We still have the negate with the Baron, but not sure what the best negate option is. Opponent making a second Lightheart, getting the field spell. Opponent activating the field spell, and we're going to negate pop the field spell. So there you go. Field spell popped. And opponent has a rival. Going to target a Scareclaw in the graveyard, special summon it. Opponent does not seem to be stopped here. Doesn't look like our negates were enough. Opponent going into the Tri-Heart. They're going to set our monsters to defense mode and start special summoning 1,000 monsters. So, you know, we're not in a great spot here. Not in a great spot. Opponent is going to be able to probably clear our entire board. Maybe even get lethal damage. One of these Scareclaws has an effect where if it's being pointed to by a Link monster, that monster can attack multiple times. We'll see if our opponent sets that up. Summoning another Tri-Heart. There they go, special summoning 3 monsters from the deck, or from the graveyard. There you go, here is this one. Scareclaws in the extra zone can attack equal to the number of defense position Scareclaws with different names. So opponent has 3 attacks here. And we're hurting. 2,400 life points. Opponent's got set back row. They got Tri-Heart, triple Scareclaws, and our hand is questionable. Let's see what we can do. Go into the Vishuda, link off, into the Monk of the Tenyi. Vishuda going to activate, send that Tri-Heart back to the hand because this Tri-Heart is going to change all our monsters to defense position, and it's unaffected by effects of defense position monsters. So that's the reason we're doing that. We need that cleared from the field. Let's re-add the Vishuda to hand and activate Ashuna. Now, probably should have done the other order. I should have activated the Ashuna first and then activated Ahara to send Ashuna back to hand, because Ashuna we could have summoned. We've already summoned Vishuda this turn, so a little bit of a misplay, but I think it's okay. Let's make Yazi. Using our Ash Blossom, Yazi going to pop the back row. Opponent had an Imperm, they didn't use it. And now we can special summon Moyi, and we're straight into Swordsoul combo. Showing off the power of Swordsouls. Seems like you have a terrible board. Well, actually, you have the best board possible. Break our opponent's stuff, and go for full Swordsoul. It is also a good reason to have a single copy of Shisthana in the deck. It's also a water. Can help you with your jellyfish. Let's make the strategist special summon the Supreme Sovereign. And we still have in the graveyard, we still have a normal monster on field. We could activate. Oh, our graveyard's gone. We could activate our another Tenyi Spirit, banish a card from field and graveyard, and we're looking hot right now. We even have Call By to banish. Call By can also trigger our Supreme Sovereign, but opponent doesn't want to see it. They're done. They've been sword sold. All right, let's do one more game. All right, Moyi and a Fish Sonar. Fish Sonar can search the jellyfish. Jelly plus Moyi with Sea Stealth is generally a pretty amazing board. So let's try it. Jellyfish going to get the Moyi on field. We're going to get the token. And we're in Swordsoul City. So we're just going to do the full Swordsoul combo. Make the Grandmaster. And we'll set Sea Stealth attack. Hope for the best. Let's special summon. Make our level 10. Che-Ying. And like I said before, with Sea Stealth attack on field, we can banish our Jellyfish. And that's going to trigger Che-Ying's effect to banish a card from field and graveyard. We also have a negate, so we're looking pretty sweet here. We got negate. Opponent going to summon a Uni Zombie. We're going to stop the effect to send a monster to the graveyard. Opponent probably playing the new zombie deck, but opponent not going to fight anymore. They are done. Alright, showing off how powerful this lock is. We got Umi and Swordsoul at the same time. Alright, hope you liked the video. Let's go on to the deck list. Alright, here is the full Swordsoul Umi deck list. This is the one I played in the festival. If you got some suggestions or maybe some comments about this deck list, make sure to leave them down below. Always looking to experiment. Now, Swordsoul did not have much representation, at least not to me in that festival. I didn't see almost anyone playing Swordsoul. Saw a lot of people playing Despia, saw a couple Runic, saw a lot of Labyrinth. Yeah, so this deck, very good. Especially the Umi side is very strong against the trap heavy decks, as you saw in some of those games. So I hope you liked the video, and I'll see you next time. Have a good night.